Hello, guys. Thank you for joining us. We are Morbid Curiosities, bringing you another episode. I'm your host, Nicholas Ewers, and with me is the lightweight champion of the world, the morbid mistress of mayhem herself.
Mercedes Martinez. And if you hear any wagging or pitter patter, that is my dog who is joining us today, Evie, who is being a little thorn in my side. So thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Special guest appearance by Evie. If she starts barking on the podcast, then I'll give her a guest credit in the episode.
Okay, sounds
I'll
good.
put it in little brackets with Evie.
With Evie. Maybe I'll post a picture of Evie and see if she becomes a crowd favorite.
She could be like our show's mascot.
Oh my god, we would probably get so many more followers just because of her alone.
Now, not to jump into the movie we're talking about too quick, but I do have kind of a question for you that may be a little bit of a spoiler. So, just to get into it, guys, start of a new season today. If you're new to the podcast, thank you for joining us. We're Morbid Curiosities, and we're covering Sinister today. And next week, we'll be doing Sinister Part 2. But so, spoilers ahead for this movie. Mercedes, there's a dog in this movie. Now, did she remind you of your dog in any kind of way? I referred to the dog in the movie as a she. I don't know its gender, but sorry to assume dog. But
No, because the dog in that movie, it looked pretty threatening. You have Ethan Hawke's character. He's staring at the dog, just kind of like, "Oh shit, let me grab my weapon, my bat here, so I can bash your skull in," or whatever he said. He doesn't do it, but he wanted to, and then the dog just looked menacing. If my dog stares at you, she's just gonna smile, wag her tail, act like she's a little angel in front of. There she goes. See, Evie, does that earn her credit? her
it
her little
might.
shaking.
It,
Okay, what about
I
that? She just yawned.
I think
Um,
that will. That's good enough.
okay,
It
you're a
might get
little
us some
star,
extra
Evie.
listens.
Yeah,
Our first guest appearance on the podcast.
little Evie Martinez.
Uh,
She won't leave me alone right now, so apologies on that.
no, it's cool.
I mean, you've met my dog. She was pretty cordial with you. She seems to be
Yeah.
chill with most people. Yeah, Evie, she just prances around and wants to be petted. So I don't have a good guard dog. But you know who is a good guard dog? That one dog in here was guarding Bagul, or a symbol of Bagul, actually.
No, I think the dog wasn't guarding, but the dog was like on Ethan Hawke's side. That's what I kind of took it, right? The dog was like growling at the kids behind him, almost in fear, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I kind of
Mhm.
took that as Ethan Hawke thinks the dog is growling at him, and he is just so oblivious to what is actually the dog is actually growling at behind him, which is much more scary than the dog itself.
I like that interpretation because I didn't think about that. I actually had no idea why this random dog was there, and then towards the end, when they go into more details about Bagul, they do mention a dog being in one of the inscriptions, I think. But wow, we really jumped the gun on this.
Yeah, a lot of dog talk. We might lose some of it. Who knows? We'll see when we get there.
Have you? I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Have you seen Sinister before, or did you see part two before?
I've never seen part two. I had
Okay.
seen this one though. I had only seen it one time, and I saw it in theaters. And I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed when I first saw this movie.
Really?
I not because of the movie itself. So this is the movie that has almost made me completely stop watching movie trailers, more so horror movie trailers, because I remember I was so stoked for this movie, ready for it to come out. I had seen the trailer a bunch of times. It was just I remember it playing on TV a lot. They marketed the shit out of this movie. And I went in to see it, and every kill that is in, like, the home footage camcorder sections of this movie, every kill except for the lawnmower one was in the trailer, and I find the lawnmower one the scariest moment in the whole movie. It gets me
Mhm.
every time. I always jump. But aside from that, the scares didn't really work for me because I felt like I had seen them all a bunch of times at home. But with distance, I'm kind of excited to talk about this movie more. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I had seen this before, and I assume you did too.
Yeah, I saw this before. I did like it at first. I remember seeing the trailer maybe once or so, so it wasn't too much of a spoiler for me when I did go see it. That lawnmower scene is intense. Yeah, cuz I saw it with one of my buddies from high school, and I was trying to look away from one of the beginning kill scenes, and he saw me do that, and he's like, "No, you gotta watch it. You gotta open your eyes." So I'm just thinking, "Damn, okay, I can't be a bitch right now." And I really wanted to turn away once that lawnmower scene starts. So, guys, for context, one of the found footage clips is this family. They I forgot what the whole setting was prior to them being on the lawn, but
It's almost like someone is watching the family from outside the house while they're watching TV. Because then it cuts to someone from the inside walking out, and yeah, it's all fucked up from there.
Ethan Hawke finds like a box of snuff films in the new house that him and his family move in, just to be a little more clear on it. So he starts watching them, and he sees each one has a different title on it. One of them is like, I don't know, family time or picnic or something.
Yeah, it's like pool party,
Pool party,
like
yeah.
hanging in the backyard or something like that. They
Yeah,
all are very
yeah.
misleading titles.
Yeah, you think they're gonna be just like, cute little home videos, and they do show different families, they're barbecuing, they're playing together. You always see a kid, one of the kids, they join the family at the last minute. So with this one, as Nick said, someone is recording this family from outside the house looking inward, which really unsettled me every time or the first time I watched it, and even now, because, realistically, that can happen. But then it just cuts to a lawnmower getting started at night, and it's going on the grass for a good 10-15 seconds, and something's going to happen. And then at the last second, you hear a loud scream or just a loud noise, and the lawnmower just runs over someone. So fucking effective. And I was even gonna ask you, what's your favorite kill scene in here? But you kind of answered that already.
Yeah, man, that I've seen this movie now 3 times, even though initially in theaters, that was the only time I had seen it, and every time that lawnmower scene gets me, because you linger on just a shot of the flashlight from the camera on this, like, POV of the lawn, starting off not on the grass, eventually making its way on the grass, going and going. The light from the camera veers off from the lawnmower once and then back on, and it just adds to this tension, the sloppiness of the camera work. Uh, I will say, to an extent, I found the camera work in those found footage moments kind of frustrating. They were very, very dark, and it felt like it was that way because of budgetary constraints. So there was just sometimes where I really had a hard time telling what was going on, but it's a very effective method of storytelling that I haven't really seen that much in horror before, or even at all.
The funny thing too with that is, because it made me laugh, that whole scene when I watched it in theaters, it freaked me out so much. And just seeing the shaky camera and just the quality of it, it just added more intensity to the scene for me. But even after, I had asked my buddy, like, "Man, did you see that one part with the lawnmower? That shit was fucked up, right?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't look. I turned away." So, I was really mad about that because I had to deal with all the little horror parts by myself, apparently.
And you couldn't even talk about it after?
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm like, "Okay, well, did I just watch the movie by myself?" But, I mean, I do look away from certain scenes, from time to time, but I was kinda mad about that. You can't bitch at me for not looking at all the scenes and then you not even look at them yourself. But anyway, I really love the found footage feel in here because the entire movie itself is not a found footage documentary or anything like that. It has a storyline. Ethan Hawke, his name is Ellison in here. He moves his family to a more affordable house so he can write another true crime book. It seems that, him and his wife are not necessarily struggling with their relationship, but you see that there is
They're struggling financially.
yeah, financially, but like romantically, they're not struggling. You just see that there is a bit of a distance between them because everyone all unpacked. They're getting ready well, she's getting ready to go to sleep and he is still dressed, getting ready to go to study to, do some work. And just with that alone, you can hear how she's just a little frustrated with how their relationship has become because she was saying, what if your book from before was your 15 minutes of fame? So it seems that they've been struggling for a while, but she's still trying to be a supportive wife. And even when they kind of make up, he kisses her goodnight and then he leaves. You see her smile, it fades pretty instantly. So you see she's trying to hold it together, but that whole scene is just gonna boil up in the end.
They don't feel much like a unified front. It seems like Ethan Hawke is kind of leading the ship, and she doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of confidence in him as a captain. "Oh, captain, my captain," is not what she's saying.
I
But
had to throw it in there. I love it.
it kinda just worked out that way.
Very smooth.
Yeah, but he's really, I don't know if he was able to instill confidence in her to make this move, but it feels like that confidence is shaky at best right now, and, the cracks are starting to show. Maybe not right away, but she's starting to feel like, "Hey, this guy's kind of coming apart professionally."
Once that scene is over, you're wondering, okay, what's going to happen next with them because you see again, she's trying to be the supportive wife and the strong mother for her kids, especially because they just moved into a new house and no kid wants to move outside of their home. So it kept me on the edge of my seat just wondering what's going to happen with them, what's going to make them blow up because right when they actually were showing them unloading the moving truck, a sheriff comes to their house. He's kind of annoyed with his deputy there because he was trying to get an autograph of Ellison's previous book, Kentucky Blood. And the sheriff is just trying to get Ellison to leave. He was just saying, you ruin people's lives. This town needs to heal. So something happened there previously, and then something
Yeah.
happened with the house.
And they know he's kind of been known to cause trouble because they say one of his books caused a killer to go free.
Yeah, I think he was able to find some information that the cops overlooked, but they do mention that as well. So no one well, not a lot of people are a big fan of him and in turn
Mhm.
his family either. So he is aware of where he moved his family to and full on lies to his wife pretty much because she does ask him, "We didn't move a few houses down from a crime scene again, did we?" And he says, "No." But then she says, "You know what? I don't even want to know." the thing that he relies on with that little lie is, you asked if we moved a few houses down, but we didn't. We moved into this house. And then, even with that, he uses that as a crutch too, because he is saying, "Oh, it didn't happen in the house. It happened in the backyard." So many fucking web of lies, or that is such a big web of lies right there.
I really enjoy it. I feel like that's just such good writing. So this movie was written by C. Robert Cargill. Him and Scott Derrickson have been known to collaborate. They did this movie together. They did Doctor Strange and they did Black Phone, and I think they both have Black Phone 2 coming up. I just loved that writing because Ethan Hawke feels like such a real person. That's such a real lie that somebody would tell, or it's not even like a lie. He's relying on technicalities and taking questions literal and answering them with literal answers. He's taking things at face value, and it's manipulative in a way, but not in a very like nasty and mean way. It's very well done. I really like the way that Ethan Hawke's character is written and how his character's acted. And on top of that, too, you had mentioned the law enforcement in this movie. I really, really like both police officers too. I think they both have really good dynamics. They both have different relationships with Ethan Hawke. I think the one who doesn't like him is completely valid in not liking him, and the one who helps him out is believable, not annoying. He like is funny and adds this levity to the movie, and I mean, a lot of that's the casting, but I think a lot of that is in C. Robert Cargill's writing. I used to listen to his podcast, The Ride Along, that he had. I'm a really big fan of this guy as a writer, and watching it this time around, it really stood out to me just how human this movie feels.
Yeah, even with all of the characters, you like them. Even with the sheriff, who seems, he's just not on Ellison's side at all with this, but you still like him because he's not being a dick for no reason. He is just trying to get him out of there, so he can essentially protect his town from enduring any more pain or chaos that doesn't need. And even the chemistry between them two, with the few scenes that they have, it's believable.
Yeah, they don't give them names, it's just deputy and sheriff. It gets kinda hard to when he calls him deputy so and so, I was like, "What is his actual name?" And it's just deputy in the credits.
Yeah, I actually thought he was being, bogus about that, because when I saw his name pop up on his phone, I was thinking, why would you name him like that as a contact? Give him his actual name. But then rewatching it, you hear him, his this character is James Ransone. He introduces himself in a way by saying, "Oh, when you write the acknowledgments at the beginning of your book, you can say, with all the help from Deputy so and so, I can be that Deputy so and so." That was what gave him that name, but I thought that was very humorous.
It's such good writing, man. This movie, low key, is like one of the best written like horror scripts like I can recall, like modern horror scripts. But this, Doctor Sleep, maybe like Hereditary, it this is up there though. It feels so real. Is there anything in particular you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so going back to all the characters in here, even with Ellison himself, you can buy that, he is a loving husband, he is a loving father as well. He is trying to do his best to provide for his family, but you do see he's doing a lot of this for himself. He is watching previous reviews of himself, or interviews of himself, where he's talking about his books, but then also saying, I'd rather die than, do a book for blood money, essentially. But once he finds all these snuff films, and watches them and doesn't do anything about it, but just keeps them to himself, you see right then and there, okay, he's only thinking about himself. He even tries to call the sheriff that way he can, file a report on this, but he sees his old book, just a stack of them in his study, and he's thinking, no, I need to write another a winner here. So he hangs up on them and just continues to isolate himself with these films, and just starts digging himself into a rabbit hole. So even though his choices in here aren't the best ones, you're kind of rooting for him to watch the next snuff film just to see what happens next. So
I don't know about you, but for me too, I kind of want him to piece it all together successfully and to bridge this gap between our reality and this demon reality. He has evidence, and when he's talking about this could be the biggest breakthrough of my life, I'm talking movie deals. And I'm thinking, dude, why are you thinking movie deals, man? You're about to break the barriers of reality right now if you can prove
right.
this. You should be contacting scientists and different religious experts and uh, like newspapers and stuff like this. You shouldn't fuck your book. Get attention like in other ways, or I don't know, man. You've got something big on your hands that you kind of squandered a little bit.
Right. Think of the bigger picture in other aspects, not just about movies. Life isn't just about movies, people. As I am doing a podcast with you about horror movies. Let's talk about these kids. What did you think first of the living children, Ellison's two kids in here? The daughter who paints all this shit on the walls in her room, and then the son, Trevor, who has these random night terrors and just is popping out of boxes and dryers. And what did you think of them? Did you like them?
I I gotta admit, I completely forgot that the kid coming out of the box was in this movie. I thought that was in like five other horror movies. I was thinking, didn't I see this in The Conjuring or something? I just
Right.
kept recalling other movies where I thought I might have seen this scene in. But the boy kind of annoyed me a little bit. The girl, she really worked for me, especially in that scene where she painted on the wall and it she kind of sells the dad out and is like, "Oh, I painted the little girl. She didn't want me to paint in my room because that's where her brother lived." And then she outs him like the little girl. It's the little girl from the family that dad's writing about that all got hung to death in the backyard. And it spouts one of my favorite moments in the movie, a pretty that like big bedroom argument, but I was pretty into her performance, and I liked her dynamic with her brother. There's a breakfast scene where they're throwing food back and forth at each other, and I think it's, again, very well written, very well acted. They throw one kid throws something, Ethan Hawke says, "Hey, don't do that, be the bigger person," and kinda diffuses the situation, all while a bigger, more important conversation is happening in the room. It's very well done and well executed.
Yeah, the kids, even though they didn't have a lot of screen time, especially Trevor, I like them, and you can actually feel their sibling rivalry there. Just that playful throwing of food, that was cute. I actually did like it.
Did you like the night terror thing?
Eh, not really. I thought that was just a way to add more jump scares to it and just give Trevor more of a presence in the film. I like that they were letting the daughter paint in her room. So you're seeing, okay, she has a little creativity. she's gonna end up painting something fucked up that's going to add more tension to this film. Just yeah, her just kinda selling out the dad. She did it, and when she says that, you could still see her innocence, thinking like, "Damn, I think I fucked up," unless she was faking it, because then after the whole argument with the parents, when the mom is tucking her in, she asks her mom, "Did I get daddy in trouble?" And the mom's like, "No, daddy got daddy in trouble." So
Yeah, it's a
she's
good
still worried
line.
about her dad. It was.
Yeah, shout out to Juliet Rylance. I love that she's just British and no one's mentioning it. It's just, yeah, why would anyone mention it? There's no need to, but movies feel the need to call it. I mean, they've all been living with this woman for years. No need to explain.
Right. I thought that was a nice little touch there. And I think too, she was in some type of play, and Ethan Hawke saw her performance and advocated for her to be the wife in this movie. I mean, good deal too, because they make a good couple in here.
Hey, good for Ethan Hawke. Good getting women jobs. You gotta love it. In the sick, sick industry, he's getting women jobs.
Yeah, in reality, he's a sweetheart. In this film, such an asshole. Because, again, everything is just all for him.
I really dig what he's doing in this movie. There's something I really appreciate and love about Ethan Hawke as an actor and what he brings to the table that I've always kind of known, but rewatching this really put it into perspective. Rewatching this, thinking about the fact that he's in The Purge, this guy will do indie projects of all genres. He's a great just indie actor. I really enjoy seeing him pop up. What he brings to the table is so authentic. He feels like a real guy that you would know. He pours insecurity almost into his characters and on screen. I'm thinking the Before trilogy. If you guys haven't watched that, that's beautiful. Before Sunrise is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's great. But this movie, he feels, even though he was on top of the world at one point, even though he says he was doing it for other people, he's very selfish. He's very insecure. The moments where he's begging to his wife, like, please, I get it. This will be the last one. I just need a hit, to the argument where she's like, you're going to lose me and the kids. And he yells, I know. And loses it for that quick second. And the moments where he's like laying on, not in bed with his wife, but kind of laying on her when she's in bed and talking to her lovingly. He feels so authentic on screen, and I really love what he brings to this movie and almost everything I've seen him in.
Yeah, and having his, wife, what's her full name? Juliet
Rylance.
Rylance?
Yeah.
Yeah, but her name in here is Tracy. Having her be his other half, she really is his voice of reason in here because, yes, while they were having that argument, he was basically saying, writing is all I have, these books are my legacy. And she doesn't say this while raising her voice at him, but she just says, like, your meaning of life is our marriage and your legacy, that's our children. And that was just kind of like her mic drop there, and she leaves. That was so powerful. She's
Mhm.
really trying to maintain the glue of the family together while he is doing everything to just fuck it all up. Um, Unintentionally, but realistically, intentionally, because he knows everything that he's doing is obviously for him, but in his mind, he thinks it's for everyone else. It's just painful to watch because she's trying to keep it together even though it seems as if she's given him chances before, and he wasn't successful with his last book. as much as he wanted to be. You do see a glimpse of the house that they used to live in before when they do ultimately decide to move back there. It's a fucking massive house.
It is. I was like, "Why would you guys?" I know you couldn't afford it, but why would you leave?
Right. So it's a little heartbreaking to see that too because he thought he was going to maintain an income that he can use to provide for that type of lifestyle, but then he wasn't, and then they had to move to a smaller residence. But he's just making all these changes not for the better or the good of the family, just for himself. And
Yeah, because they moved to the murder house. He brings him to the murder house all for the book, and he tells her it was a steal. It's like, well, yeah, of course. But I do really agree with you on her just final lines in that argument. Her delivery is great. I rewound it when I was watching it uh for the second time. I just had to really just take it in. I don't know. It was very well done on both of their parts. Great argument. The cast all around, especially the adults, the cast all around I think is pretty great. Ethan Hawke, Juliet Rylance, James Ransone as the deputy, Fred Thompson as the sheriff, but then one actor who I found myself just staring at the whole time he was on screen. I was like, I know that face. I know that voice. I've seen him in a bunch of things. And then I just had to look it up because I knew all along, but I had to confirm it that it was Vincent D'Onofrio. Fucking, I know most people probably know him from Kingpin, but he's in a bunch of shit. Metal Jacket, that's, another notable one that he was in. He was in the Jurassic World movies for people. Men in Black, I forgot about that. Men in Black, Ed Wood, fantastic movie. This guy, he like almost never misses, and I loved seeing him in this. I love seeing him on the other side of that computer screen. I'm like, yeah, he's a guy that will show up and give you fucking 10 minutes total on a computer screen and knock it out of the park. Fuck yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio. And he
yeah,
has like
I
a
like
little
that he
friend
was in
there,
here.
Juliet, who gives him tea. Sorry.
Right. No, I thought that was like his assistant or something, or a TA since he's a professor. The little screen time he had on here, I enjoyed it. He even mentioned how this is where we get to talk about the real main character in here.
Yeah, I don't know how we've gone this long. We're 45 minutes deep and we haven't even we've mentioned Ooga Booga Guy in other episodes. 45
Multiple
minutes into
times,
Sinister.
and we
45
haven't
minutes
mentioned
into
him.
Sinister. We're the best podcast out there, guys. We won't change if you won't change.
Yeah, rate us 5 stars, follow our
Yeah.
Instagram. But yeah, so in all of these films, once Ellison is really trying to analyze them and get all the little key points in there. He's noticing a symbol in there. So he, screenshots that, but then he starts to see an image of a figure in there. I believe the first one he noticed was in the pool party clip. So you have this family, they're all tied to these long chairs outside, and they are all pulled into the pool to drown. And then you see this creepy ass motherfucker in the pool just standing at the bottom, and then he just looks at the screen, and we are
Mhm.
introduced to none other than Bagul, or as the children in here call him, Mr. Boogie, which I think is so fucking adorable. I'm sorry, but it is.
Or as most people may know him as the singer of the band Behemoth. That symbol too looked like the fucking Mudvayne logo. I was like, what's going on here, guy? How many bands we ripping off here?
So I was watching what was it? CZ's World Horror History on YouTube, and he was talking about the history of, Bagul, and he had mentioned that, they were getting the people on this film, they were looking for symbols that they can use, and they did find a black metal band, I think from like a Norwegian metal band that had this symbol. They bought the rights to the symbol and they were able to use it, which is why it was cool when Vincent D'Onofrio is talking about the symbol to Ellison. He does mention, it's not like a satanic thing. It's not, a black metal band that you would typically see the symbol with. So he does give a nod to where it actually came from.
Man, I gotta say, not very black metal of them to fucking sell their symbol to a Hollywood production. Wow.
What sellouts?
Yeah, exactly. Way to give into fucking capitalism.
And plus, Bagul's face, it's fucking creepy, but he was giving me some Thompson vibes from Slipknot,
Yes.
honestly.
That's all I think about. I'm like Mick Thompson, some type of dude with corpse paint, something like that. But yeah, his mouth, quote unquote mouth, it's not really a mouth. It's just kind of like a black, shadowy smile almost that's on his face. But it looks like the vents that Mick Thompson has on the front of his mask.
It does. That's all I kept thinking of when I watched it. But yeah, he's just a fucking haunting ass presence. And he's trying Ellison is trying to figure out, okay, who is this person? And then he even finds this like a shoebox cover in his attic, and he sees little doodles of each film that he watched, and all of the pictures, you see the family that's dead, and they're labeled, mom, dad, whoever, and then always somewhere nearby it says Mr. Boogie. So then when he
Mhm.
rewatches the films, he does start to see this guy or this figure in the distance. So when Vincent D'Onofrio is trying to help him figure out who it is, he tells him the history of Bagul and or Ooga Booga, as you like to call him. And
Ooga booga booga.
there's even a part where Ellison has the screenshot of him like as a close up of Bagul, and he just turns his head and looks at Ellison while he's not paying attention to his computer screen, and then looks back right away. Oh my god, such fucking chills. That was a hard scene to watch.
I've heard that a lot, but I don't know. Bagul, come on, man. Reveal yourself. If you aren't a coward, why are you looking back? Why are you pretending like you aren't trying to punk out Ethan Hawke?
To add to his mystique, man, you don't know what.
It's like he knows that we're watching.
But you just don't know his role specifically. Is he the one killing these families, or is it the kids killing these families? You ultimately find out that Bagul is a deity, and with that symbol, it's related to him. And what he is he's a eater of children, pretty much. So all the kids that he kind of seeks out, he gets them to essentially sedate the families with, the toxic poison that they give. That way they can pretty much overpower the family and kill them. Once they do that, then Bagul is able to take the child away and pretty much feast on their souls for however long he can. And that is why all the little ghost children show up. So he's not being a punk. He's just, waiting for his time to shine in here.
I still thought, I don't know. A real demon wouldn't have looked away. He would have looked Ethan Hawke dead in the eye and would have said, "Your writing sucks, dude. Get out of here. You're not shit. You want your shit to be made into a movie? I'm making movies."
I mean, he does look him in the eye later when Ellison goes up to the attic because he hears the projector playing. All the little kids, the little ghost children, they're up there, they're sitting and watching the first film with the four members of the family being hung, and
Mhm.
then Bagul just does a jump scare and gets all in his face and makes him fall down that little ladder that he was on. So he gets in his face. He's not a punk.
At a certain point. I do really like there's a scene where, the kids all get a pretty cool moment, but Ethan Hawke is essentially he hears something in the house. I think the projector is playing in the living room, and it's the family being hung, and he had just locked it away in a closet after his convo with, Vincent D'Onofrio. So he's walking around the house with a baseball bat, and everywhere that he isn't looking, there will be a kid right there behind him, and the kid will start moving in slow motion, almost like they're anticipating that he's going to turn around and see them. But then at the very last minute, the thing that gets him to turn around happens, and it's a very cool an odd sequence that I found myself really just enjoying watching and trying to think about how they executed it. But like one girl in a raincoat is standing there behind him the whole time, and then she makes a sharp turn into a doorway, and he only turns around at the point where it looks like maybe he would see her jacket out of the peripheral. And this little boy kind of takes a turn into another room, and at the last second when he's out of view is when you see and hear him step on something that makes a creak. And I found it to be a really good visual representation of maybe hearing things in your house or seeing things out of the corner of your eye, like what may actually be happening. I really enjoyed that sequence a lot.
That was really difficult to watch because I honestly feel when, someone passes away, they watch over you still. People do say, if there's good, there is evil. So if all of us have a soul, we all have energy. That energy just doesn't disappear. It does linger. So if you are evil, you are latching onto something. So originally when I watched this, I was thinking, oh, these little kids, they might be trying to, help Ellison or warn him. But, that first girl that popped up right by his face, she didn't look like she was scared or trying to help him. She just looked mean.
No,
So
they seem like malicious spirits,
right.
honestly. Like they're kind of benevolent to an extent, but then they seem like they're helping uh Bagul. Yeah, that's his name, right? I honestly like forgot it for a second. Mr.
Yeah,
Boogie.
cool. Or Mr. Boogie.
That's such a I hate Mr. Boogie. That
I
name.
like it. I don't know why I like it because I think it's a cute nickname that the kids gave him.
Yeah. Also, none of these kids have any art potential. They're all
Damn.
very basic drawers. You'd think one of them you'd watch and you'd be like, there's something there. They got a future in drawing.
Do you have a future in drawing? Do you doodle? Do you draw better than they do?
I think I draw better than they do. Yeah,
I need to see proof of that. I'll be the judge of that.
I'll provide proof. If I remember, I'll post something on the Instagram that I drew.
Draw a portrait of Mr. Boogie.
A portrait?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing portraits. I just
You
said I
can't be
can draw
talking
better
all
than
this
them.
shit. You can't be talking all this shit to these kids and not accept a challenge.
Merced, I'll talk shit to these kids any day. I mean, they made more money doing this movie probably than I make in a year, so
I mean,
I'm
same.
I'm punching up as far as I'm concerned.
Shut up. But yeah, that was just going back to my point. You would think they would be in this film to help Ellison, but yeah, like you were saying, they look pretty malicious. They look like they're up to no good. And it's just creepy to think about because, they do have evil intentions in here. So, when you are walking around your house, is there an evil spirit there or spirits? I get nervous sometimes because my dog likes to, bark at the fireplace, but then I have to remember
Ooh.
she's just looking at her reflection in there. She kind of sees a small glimpse of what she looks like, but if she barks at any other point of the house, I need to leave.
Maybe that's just proof that Santa exists, you know? She just fucking hates Santa. She was like, "This is how he gets in." I've heard the stories.
Then that means she's ultimately my dog because I don't like Christmas. That means she's a Halloween baby through and through.
Oh, man. How would you feel if you found out Santa was real and entering your home? Would you be okay with that?
I'd be fucking feeling violated in every which way, Who the fuck are you to be entering my house? You didn't have
Yeah.
permission. I don't even like it when people that I do like show up at my house. Get the fuck out of here.
Mercedes, I'm gonna ask you this. Is it time to cancel Santa Claus? Has he gone too far? Is this breaking and entering? Is this like some sick form of peeping? Like he's bribing you
I
with gifts to allow this behavior? He also eats your food.
mhm. Like, people are fucking welcoming this guy by giving him cookies. No, you're not having the cookies that I make. But also, it depends on the Santa Claus. Are we talking Jack Skellington Santa Claus? Are we talking Art the Clown Santa Claus? Are we
We're talking
talking
Tim Allen Santa Claus
Oh no, get the fuck out. I don't need your
from Santa Claus 3,
yeah, no, God
the
no. We
escape
don't need you in
clause.
here. We don't need you here. I'd rather have Art the Clown than Tim Allen Santa Claus in here.
Good debate. Who's scary to you, Art the Clown or Bagul?
Ew.
I think Art the Clown. He scares me more. His
He scares you
deaths,
more?
yeah, his deaths seem very brutal. I would take a drowning over half of whatever Art's doing.
You know, you have a point on that. Art is pretty fucking brutal and he's very diverse in the way he likes to, torture his victims.
Yeah,
But
Bagul sedates everybody. He was like, "I'm gonna get you feeling loopy before I kill you,"
I mean, Art sedated a few people too.
and then he rips your fucking face off and leaves you alive for a half hour. No, thank you.
True, true. I think what makes it makes me want to say Bagul for this question. What makes me want to go in that direction is the soundtrack to this movie. It is
Mhm.
so fucking disturbing.
Yeah, I was like, did Bagul fucking write a score to these home footage videos? There's like the pleasant one where they're camping. It's like very nice, like lovely music, and then it cuts to and it's like voo 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 voo. Is some like lo-fi bass
Mhm.
thing that I found oddly meditative, especially at like the lawnmower scene. I was like transfixed, like, oh my god, this is why you have these sound effects. They suck you right in. They like lulled me into the movie.
Yeah, even with the car in the garage, it sounded like a tribal song was being played and you just hear certain I would say vocals to it, but you don't know what they're
Yeah,
saying.
it seems like it's diegetic. It like it's
Mhm.
in the movie within the movie that we're watching.
Even the intro kill scene, what instrument would be playing the sound? Do you remember how the intro was, or not the intro, the first time he watched the first film?
No, I don't remember. Do you have any kind of a way to describe it?
Do, do. I'm doing such a horrible job of it. It just sounded really creepy. So when I first watched it, I couldn't go to sleep that night because that fucking sound was in my
Oh
head.
my.
That and the tribal sound.
It's probably some weird like synthy thing. I wish I
Yeah.
remembered it. The the one from the car murders I remembered, and then the one from the lawnmower murders I remembered. Those two stuck out to me the most. They were very upsetting. The throat slitting death too. I
Oh
found
god.
that incredibly upsetting. It's and Ethan Hawke's reactions while he's watching all of it. It really like fucking works for me. There's something I want to get into that just doesn't fully work for me at the end, and I kind of want to know how you feel about it all.
Hit me with it. What is it?
I don't love that it's the kids coming up with all of these contraptions and doing it themselves. I know they have the guidance from Bagul, but that tree trap seems so intricate and looked like it would require a lot of difficulty for a kid to do. And then, the chains around the car, I can't even think about how a kid would really, like, get the bodies in there, and that's the only part where I feel like the movie kind of strains credibility for me, is the fact that it's like, the kids are doing these incredible acts, and even though it seems like they are possessed by Bagul, that was my interpretation because the little girl says something along the lines of, "I like that you made I like the movies longer," or "the way that you made them longer," something like that. Because I don't remember if he's, like, extending them or, like, splicing in more footage that he finds.
Yeah, he finds the extended cuts of the film, so he was able to see the parts of each film where the kid comes out from the background and is showing that they were the one that were ultimately killing the family.
Yeah, so and I did like that line that Bagul is appreciative of his own work and his own movies. It's almost like even a demon sees what he's committing to film as art in a way. I kind of enjoyed that. And if it is Bagul possessing the kids and Bagul doing all of that himself, fine. But it's the same thing as the Cult of Chucky thing where it's like, yeah, just because it's a supernatural thing possessing the body doesn't mean the body has any kind of extra ability or strength that it wouldn't have had before. So that's just a hang up that I have where the movie stretches credibility, and it's just unfortunate that it's at the end, and the movie really, really needs you to buy it at the end.
Yeah, I had so many questions about that because I was thinking, okay, well, how are all of these kids pulling off these kill scenes? That tree branch that the family, all of their ropes were tied to, that was a tall ass branch. You don't see a ladder or anything. I'm getting too technical with it.
I think the ladder's behind the tree because the little girl like climbs down from the back. It looks like
Oh, okay.
something like that in the clip. But did you take like get a chance to really look at how intricate that setup was?
Like, what details? I was just seeing how, they were all standing there and then they were all being able to or they were hung because the daughter was just cutting off the other tree branch, and they were all just able to be suspended that way. That's so fucked up.
Yeah, it's so there's the four family members at the bottom, and they all have ropes tied around their neck leading up to a branch of the tree. And I don't know if they all connect into one giant rope, but then that's wrapped around the front of one branch, goes higher up to another branch, and is wrapped around the back, and then is going diagonal all the way down to a lower branch that is being cut. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous the level of work that's put into this shit. It's crazy.
First off, I just want to say this is why you're my co-host, because I kind of speed through all the details and you bring us back and you dissect every scene. So thank you for that.
Over explaining is my specialty.
The listeners, they need more. They need more. I didn't see all of that detail. I just figured, okay, they're all the ropes are just tied to one branch that's just being cut off and then able to pull the weight of them upward, so they end up hanging. That scene was so fucked up. Did you say something about that act being forgivable or the kid being forgiven? What was your question again?
Is the fact that it was the kids the whole time and the kids set up these mechanisms, is that something you like the movie enough to where you're able to forgive that? Or it doesn't even register as a complaint to you like it would for me?
I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. I think that the kids being the culprits here is a good spin on it, and them being possessed and having that, manpower to be able to pull off all these kills. It's a good direction of what they were going in because I didn't expect that fully. And I like the fact that the movie ends on more so of a surprise note, like, damn, nobody got out of this alive. Everyone pretty much lost this battle between Bagul and the living so far. And
Yeah, Ethan Hawke fell right into his plan and just up and moved like he was supposed to move and got the whole family axe murdered. He fucked up, man.
he really did. So I like the fact that it ended on a sour note pretty much, because if movies can have that effect on me where I'm leaving the theater or just sitting in my living room thinking, damn, I am not going to be able to sleep tonight because of how uncomfortable I am, then it's effective. But at the same time, I wish that they had leaned into, the kid aspect more, because once you find out, oh, yeah, these kids are basically drugging their families to pull off all these kill scenes, it felt very rushed at the end. And you just see the little girl doodling her little drawing of her killing the family. You don't even see her kill the family, it's just implied. And
Yeah.
then she looks at the kids on the screen. They all just look at her, and then you see Bagul behind her. He picks her up. All the kids scatter once they see him. So you know that they're afraid of him too. And he picks up the girl. I forgot her name, the daughter in here, and then just takes her into the screen, and then that's pretty much the end of the film. So it's not even these children being on Bagul's side. They were afraid of him too, since they all ran off. So it was, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it maybe is a bit more of an effective ending if you see Ethan Hawke get axe murdered on screen, or see him and his wife, or maybe all three of them get axe murdered, but mostly Ethan Hawke, just because we've been living with him this whole time, and he is an actor, a bigger actor that you don't typically see in movies like this. I think it would hit audiences harder if you see him take an axe to the face or something, or if it even cuts away as the axe is swinging down to his face. Um, I think they could have done a little bit more with that.
Yeah, just anything, but they don't show that. Even when he was watching the film where the family was getting their throats cut, I like the point of view where you see him watching it and it's just a close up of his eyes and his glasses, and you're
Mhm.
seeing the reflection of the film and the act itself take place within his
That's a great
glasses.
shot.
It is, and you could see, just the pain and the anguish in his eyes, like, "Fuck, I can't believe I'm watching this," but that alone was a good way to show that. So, they show that part, but they don't show the main character's death scenes in here. I That's a part that I can say I don't forgive out of any film that does that. If you have a main character and you're planning on killing them off, you better give them a good death scene. Don't imply it or don't do it off screen. That's gonna take the movie a couple notches down, in my opinion.
I do wanna ask, have you seen Sinister 2 already?
I have a long time ago.
I kind of want to get a better understanding, and I feel like Sinister 2 might make this a little bit more clear. But so Bagul want wants these families to relocate eventually so he can follow them there and murder them at a new location so he can maybe be harder to track and kind of spread a bit more to different areas. Is that what his thing is? Like, why does he rely on people moving?
Honestly, I was gonna ask you that because I had to rewind that scene when Deputy So and So was explaining that to Ellison, because I didn't understand it.
I don't know why he explains it to Ellison too when he calls him, because he calls Ellison and is like, "You moved. You shouldn't have moved." That, and it's like, Ellison, you're the one who fucking told the deputy this information earlier in the movie when you realized the one family had lived in the previous family's house. You put this information together earlier. Oh my god, it's like, and you're criticizing the police. You have equally as bad oversight as like the police do in the, or as you're claiming the police do. Um and speaking of I think these are, I don't know if I said this, the best police officers we've covered in a movie so far.
That yeah, was confusing me because I was thinking, okay, if he, moves, he gets his family killed. But if he stays in the house, what's going to happen? He's going to keep waking up to the projector playing all the time. What if he didn't watch those films? Would that would all of this activity still have taken place?
I I don't
Or
think so, because the tagline is, once you see him nothing can save you. So I think it
true.
requires them to watch the movies, which also made me like wonder. So all of these other families must have watched these movies the same way that um Ellison did. But none of them went to the police. Ellison is the only one who is morally bankrupt at this point. I mean, he had a motivation to not go to the police. Why didn't these other people go to the police and report, "Hey, I have like this is pretty fucked up. I found multiple snuff films in my attic."
I don't know if it's, not to sound sexist, like a guy thing where they feel like, oh, well, it's not so much to worry about, or maybe they thought it was fake or something. I don't know. Would you automatically contact the police if you found films like that?
Yeah, I feel like it's a crime not to contact the police if you find
Hmm.
something like that. Yeah, so I think I would. I'm not trying to get fucking famous writing a book, keeping this from the public. No, I would be like, show this to everybody. I want credit for no. Not. I
Yeah,
would just be
there's
like, yeah, get this away from me. That would more so be my vibe. I would feel gross for having interacted with it, having touched. I would feel like I partook in a crime watching it, and I would try and wash my hands from it and give it to people who we've deemed by as a society fit enough to handle something like this.
so if you moved into a house and you saw a box of tapes that did not belong to you in your attic, you would voluntarily watch them?
Man, this is a very All Hallows Eve fucking
I
scenario we're
know
talking
that
about.
that's why I'm asking it, because I was gonna lead it right back to there and do it full circle.
Yeah, I would be curious, and I think I would throw it on just to be like, "Hey, what is this?" I mean, what if it was like some type of actually valuable film reel that there's stories of people finding old film reels that were said to be lost to time, and it's like, "Oh, now we've uncovered a 4-hour cut of like planes, trains, and automobiles or something like that that was lost to time," or they'll find like old assembly cuts of movies and recut them. So curiosity, there would be too much beckoning me to check these out, but I wouldn't get caught up in some Cohen Brothers esque situation where I'm way in over my head the moment I have watched them, like I've crossed the line. I think I would know when I need to step away.
Yeah, that's the difference between you and me. I just wouldn't watch them at all. I would look at them, nope, and throw them in the garbage. But then I feel like I would still be fucked anyway because they would pop up back in the attic. but I wouldn't watch them. As soon as I see them, no, no. I don't wanna see snuff films or potential porn.
Potential porn, yeah, that is the biggest it is risky, it is risky, but,
Very much.
I mean, your situation is a bit different from mine. You're in a partnership with somebody, like, you co-inhabit the same living area, so you're moving into the same new house. You got 2 people in on this decision-making process, or are you pulling an Ethan Hawke and keeping it from your husband?
I'm not watching this shit by myself, and if he tries to turn around and say that he wants to watch it, no, I'll steal that shit and throw him away myself before he even tries to watch it.
What if he comes back to you though and he's like, "Wifey, I'm writing a book. It's gonna be a hit. They're gonna make a movie." Would you be like, "You're gone too far, the kids.
Probably.
Think of the dog."
Think of the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I at that point, I would just direct him back to this film. Be like, "Have you learned nothing from the horror films that I have showed you? Come on now."
Yeah, have you not learned from the previous text?
Yeah, just you have to learn from all these kids' mistakes and not fall victim to Oogie Boogie or wow, Bagul. I was trying to say Bagul and Mr. Boogie, and then I ended up saying Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare Before Christmas, guys, best movie ever. One of them, anyway.
I have a funny tweet that kind of reminds me of, what we were just talking about with Bagul. So, it's kind of about how we don't learn anything from art and we're just doomed to repeat the mistakes of every movie and a horror book that's out there. So this tweet says, "Sci-fi author. In my book, I invented the torment nexus as a cautionary tale. Tech company. At long last, we have created the torment nexus from the classic sci-fi novel Don't Create the Torment Nexus."
I like it. Very fitting. Very fitting here.
Yeah, it's basically, we've all seen Jurassic Park. Making dinosaurs are a bad idea, but they would be fucking making dinosaurs if they figured it out.
Oh my god. Life would end at that point.
You got any final thoughts on Bagul? I'm Bagul on Sinister and Bagul, I guess. Because the movie's not called Bagul. I was just so excited to say that word again.
I know, it's such a cool name, and then I'm thinking of the one episode where my dumbass, was thinking you were saying Sinister Gates when you were actually talking about the film Sinister. We're just jacking up names left and right here.
This movie, honestly, not enough Sinister Gates, too. Never thought I'd say it, but it could have used more Sinister Gates in this movie. Maybe there will be more in the sequel. I guess we'll have to see.
You could always use more Sinister Gates, yeah.
Hell
I can't
yeah.
really I can't really remember part 2. I only remember snippets of it. So I want to say a little excited to jump back into it just cuz Bagul is fucking creepy, but I don't know, it's just watching this movie now. I used to like it a lot before, but now rewatching it doesn't cut it for me anymore.
I had the opposite feeling. I didn't like it as much the first time around. I like it more now, but it's sitting at a nice 3.5 stars for me out of 5.
I'll give it a 3 out of 5
Oh,
stars.
damn.
Yeah.
I bumped it up half a star and you took it down however many stars.
It's just because Ellison, he's such a douchebag to his family, and I know that's just great acting on Ethan's part, but I don't know, I wish we would have gotten more of the plot twist at the end. Okay, it's the kids doing it. Let's kinda dive into that a little bit more. I do like the interactions that Ellison and Deputy So and So have when they're trying to just, dig deep into all these, murder cases, but at some point I felt like okay, it was a little too much. Let's get back into Bagul and what he's doing with these kids, show him a little bit more.
Oh man, I was really digging the work with him and the deputy and the cops a lot.
I liked it. I just felt like there was a little too much of that and not more of the reveal that we should have gotten at the end.
Yeah, you wanted more of the actual paranormal elements, which I will say too, I I mean, the movie had room for more of it. This movie's sitting at a runtime that made me kind of frustrated. An hour, 50 minutes, and 1 second. Guys, you can fucking cut that 1 second. Just make it an hour 50. You did that just to bother people like me when they just see that 1 second and are like, guys, come on. Are you fucking kidding me here? How did that slip through the cracks? But then also, watching this, I mean, some of those like real slow paced moments, I was thinking like, okay, guys, it's not fully necessary to be moving this slow. You could have brought this down to less than an hour 50. Like Ethan Hawke creeping to his son in the box takes fucking forever.
Yeah, it does. Even after the scene where he's in the kitchen and just walking throughout the house and the little dead children are just kind of following him. Once he sits down on the couch with his bat and he falls asleep, it looks like the film froze, but then you see a light in the corner of the window that he's sitting by, and it starts illuminating the room. So
Mhm.
you do see that he's sleeping throughout the night, and it's sunrise at that point. But did we really need that in here?
Which I would like to know how they filmed that. It seemed like it was practical and they didn't do it wasn't an actual time lapse. I think they did some light trickery in the back.
It's not a bad film to watch. It's not, but I want more
It's a tight,
Bagul.
tight script. I'm wondering if Sinister 2 will deliver on that. I'm curious what your thoughts will be on it when we review it next week. It's got pretty bad critic and audience ratings. I kind of knew that going in, but like 14% critic, 31% audience is kind of surprising. And part of me is wondering, like, damn, I hope this is like bad in an interesting way that kind of makes it a little good and it's not just fucking boring and that's why it has bad reviews. Usually with horror, when I see bad reviews, it ends up just being boring and it's like, come on, be bad because it took risks. I don't know. Be bad in the way that people think Ang Lee's Hulk is bad because it he took risks and he made it about our damaged relationships with fathers.
I have an opinion formed on it already, but I'll save it for the next episode. So stay tuned, guys, for Sinister 2 next week.
And remember to rate and review us 5 stars. And if you're new to this podcast, thank you for coming along for the ride. We appreciate to have you here, and we hope you enjoy our Sinister 2 talk next week.
We've been Morbid Curiosities.
Woo!